Coming into the 2023 NBA Las Vegas Summer League, I honestly wasn't too excited, not like I have been in the last two seasons. Outside of Gradey Dick and maybe Marquis Nowell, there wasn't really anybody interesting for me to watch. My last 2 years watching the Raptors at the Summer League, we had guys like Scottie Barnes, Malachi Flynn, Delano Banton, Jeff Doughton, and Precious Achiuwa that were really big draws, along with other intriguing players looking to either make it to or make it back to the NBA. But hey, I miss Raptors basketball, and since Gradey would be our only lottery pick for a while, I decided to hype myself up to watch our Summer League games. And I really wish I didn't, because that was agonizing. I realized just how much of a masochist I truly was, because Summer League this year was an excruciating watch. But I enjoyed anyway because my mom did not raise a quitter. But before we get into everything, as always, please remember to give this video a like, share with anybody you want to, and subscribe to my channel. And as always, you can give me a follow on Instagram and TikTok at SportsButCasually. So this was our full 60-man squad heading into Vegas, which I would leave on the screen for a little bit for your viewing pleasure. This team went an appalling 0-4, wrestling with the Charlotte Hornets for the title of Worst Summer League Roster. We did, however, manage to win our fifth and final game, fittingly called a consolation game. I know Summer League doesn't mean too much, and like 99% of these guys won't be in our final roster to start next season, so I tried not to get too upset, but still. I've used Summer League as kind of a tryout for our younger players, to see if we have any promising youngsters or undrafted free agents coming into next season who could be a part of our rotation. But let's be real, our performance in Vegas didn't really have anything redeemable or noteworthy to speak of. But since Summer League is finally over and our lamb has been led to the proverbial slaughter, and since everybody here is smart enough to know how grading videos work, for the third time in a row on this channel, it's time to get my world's best teacher mug and hand out grades for the 2023 NBA Summer League performance for the Toronto Raptors. However, with a roster full of guys competing for minutes, it's only natural that some players didn't see the court as often as others did. So the following players unfortunately, or fortunately really, were unable to receive a grade due to their lack of playing time. David McCormack, Desmond Cambridge Jr., Ahmad Carver, Kevin Obana, Moses Wright, and JT Shamat. And I apologize for getting any of those names wrong. But now that we have those guys off the way, let's switch our focus over to the players who will actually be receiving grades. Let's talk about the only player we're really all interested in. The 14th overall pick in this year's draft, Gradey Dick, came in as one of the best shooters in this year's draft class. However, it wasn't as easy for him in the beginning. In his first two games, he struggled with his shot and scoring, which really got me worried. But as the tournament went on, he got a lot more comfortable with his scoring ability. But scoring aside, he did showcase a lot of high-energy hustle plays on the defensive side of the ball and on the offensive glass. His size at his position makes him a great rebounder, which did translate over in this year's Summer League. His overall stats are pretty decent, however, they don't stand out. I still think he's a great addition to this team, and I really hope he doesn't struggle with his shot during the regular season. All in all, it's an okay enough overall Summer League performance from him. So I'm going to give Gradey Dick a B for his efforts this year. The short king from Northwestern, Marquis Nowell, signed a two-way deal with the Raptors and looked like our brightest prospect after the first game. However, soon enough, he would begin to struggle overall, forcing ill-advised shots and turning over the ball frequently. I honestly don't blame him that much because it seemed like nobody was able to capitalize on some of these stellar passes he made. However, his shot selection was very questionable during most of our games. He's still a tremendous passer, and despite his size, he showed a lot of skill when it came to orchestrating our offense. But his efficiency due to his height is still his biggest drawback. Not to mention he had one of the most embarrassing, yet hilarious moments in Summer League when he tried to do his best Steph Curry impression. But aside from that, I think he showed more good than bad given his limitations. So for his efforts, I'm going to give Marquis Nowell a B as well. Hey, that rhymed.
I'm a poet and didn't even know I was rhyming those words.
The last player who was on the Raptors roster coming into Summer League was Joe Wieskamp, a shooter who we signed in the middle of last season and only played in about 9 unremarkable games. But he had more NBA experience than most on this roster, and I assumed he would perform decently. But my reasonably low expectations weren't met whatsoever. as Joe continued the trend of shooters who forget how to shoot whenever they come to Toronto. Don't get me wrong, he did have an amazing last game. That's why his numbers look pretty alright. But if you take his 5th game out of it, he struggled with his shot all summer league, something that apparently happened to every single Raptors player in Las Vegas. But to his credit, he was very active defensively and played with a lot of energy on that side of the ball. Unfortunately, his amazing last game wasn't enough to secure his roster spot this year, as he was waived the following Monday before his contract became fully guaranteed. For his summer league performance overall, I'm going to give Joe Wieskamp a C+. His last game really saved him from a lower grade, if I'm being honest. I was hoping to see a lot of improvement from the second-year Harper Jr. heading into summer league, but unfortunately, my expectations weren't even close to being met after his disappointing performance. Whether it was his lack of development of a three-point shot, his overall efficiency issues, or maybe his weird Fred VanVleet-like hero ball obsession, RHJ was a big letdown for me and a lot of Raptors fans. I may be a little too harsh. I know progression isn't linear and he's only going to his second year. But with a bigger role this year, he showed no improvements to his game when compared to last year's Summer League, where he put up similar numbers. So Harper Jr. is getting a C- for his efforts this year. He's returning to the Raptors on his second straight two-way deal, so while his performance this year in Las Vegas was lackluster, the front office still sees potential in him, so I guess that's all that matters. Speaking of players who I expected to be better, hi there David Johnson. Talk about disappointment. Our former second-round pick somehow, miraculously, put together his 3rd straight piss-poor summer league. So to the person who ever said 3rd time's the charm, you're a goddamn liar. This guy showed absolutely no growth or development this year, as he seemingly can't throw a ball into the ocean if he really tried to. He only took 14 shots in this year's summer league. And in those 14 shots, David Johnson scored 2 baskets. My mom always said, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. And trust me, I have nothing positive to say about his overall performance. So David Johnson is going to get an F, and he better not be on our Summer League roster next year, or I'll lose it. Big man Moses Brown isn't new to the NBA scene, as he spent the last 4 years in the league bouncing from team to team as a role player. His experience, however, really did show in this year's Summer League, where he was honestly our most consistent player. Granted, he wasn't asked to do too much. Rebound, block shots, finish around the rim, you get it. But still, give Jack the jacket, as he excelled in his role. But despite playing in all 5 games, he didn't get as much playing time as you would think. Due to his experience and overall good performance, we probably wanted to give other players more opportunities. So for his Summer League performance, I'm going to give Moses Brown an A-. He was really good, and I can't really complain or nitpick. Since the Raptors do have an extra roster spot, I do think they should look at him as a candidate to fill it before the season starts. The 26-year-old DJ Hogg went undrafted in 2018 coming out of Texas A&M, and spent time in the G League where, fun fact, he played with and won a championship with Jeff Dowtin Jr. But most recently, he's in Australia playing in the NBL. He got some good playing time and he really did show some promise. He's a skilled shooter and plays with a lot of energy. Overall, he was good, but nothing too crazy to report about if I'm being fair. I didn't really have much expectations for him, honestly. So for a solid all-round performance, I'm giving DJ Hogg a B. Doubt he ends up on a training camp deal, or maybe even a G League spot, but he was still an okay addition to the roster. Mahamadou Gueye, I really hope I'm pronouncing that name correctly, went undrafted in 2022 out of Pittsburgh and spent last season in the G League. The 6'9" forward showed a lot of promise as a 3-and-D player in Pitt and flashed that promise in Summer League as well. Although yes, he did struggle with his 3-point shot, he was very active on the defensive end of the ball. Wait, he's a 6'9" forward who's a good defender but needs work on his offensive game? No wonder the Raptors had him on the Summer League roster. Overall, he showed some glimpses of really good two-way play, and for that, I'm going to give Mahamadou Gueye a B. He just turned 25, but I think he's the type of player that the Raptors would take a flyer on, so maybe he makes it on our G League roster. RJ Nembhard, no relation to Andrew Nembhard by the way, at least I don't think so, went undrafted in 2021 and spent a season with the Cavs before he bounced around the G League Italy, and most recently France. He really struggled with his efficiency a lot during the course of the campaign, but was a decent enough ball handler and playmaker when Nowell was off the court. He was second on the team in total assists, but also struggled protecting the rock. So for his performance in the Summer League, I'm going to give RJ Nembhard a B-. He's still young and can develop further, but I don't think the Raptors would offer him a G League deal. At least I'm not too sure. Last on the list, we got Daryl Morsell, a 6'5" shooting guard who went undrafted in 2022 out of Marquette. He actually did spend last season at the 905 and had a decent season overall. As for most Raptors young players, he is a very defensively sound player who's still developing his offensive game. And that was very much the case where he struggled with his scoring ability, however, was very active and aggressive on the defensive end. He's also a very good rebounder for his size. He plays top 5 in both total steals and rebounds for this team. So for his decent enough all-around Summer League performance, I'm going to give Morsell a B-. I really hope that he remains on the Raptors 905, because if he ever develops offensive game, I do see a future where he's one day called up to the main roster. He just fits the mold of the type of player that we like to develop. And that's everybody to talk about, guys. A very underwhelming Summer League performance and roster. But hey, at least it's over with. Now we move on to training camp and preseason. At the time I'm recording this video, we have one official roster spot left, but no more two-way deals. So it'll be interesting to see who makes the final roster when the season begins. But until then, please make sure to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time.